Okay, we're going back to All Means All. So this is the second part of my presentation yesterday that I wanted to kind of go into. And it's about sort of our journey and what I've learned and what we're going to be doing. So one of the things that we did was we had the Launchpad Pitch Fest, and we have sort of identified innovations and products that can be introduced through the DMO channels to their stakeholders, their hotels, so we're going to bring some people in today who are at the Pitch Fest that are going to be part of this, and we have started the Destination Ally Program, which is a series of destinations that we started with 11 destinations, 3 states and 8 cities that are going to be accelerating their destination through a playbook that we developed that has it's a 38-page playbook, and I'm going to go into it this afternoon, but also by products that we're a preferred product system that we are going to implement. So one of these is Bird, which is stand-up. Some of you who are not at the Pitch Fest is so why we're bringing this in. So I'm just going to go through this. This is a one of these stand-up scooter companies, these electric scooter companies. They're now renting electric wheelchairs for people that don't want to travel with their wheelchair. And so this is a company that we are working with to get into destinations. There's no cost for the destination. You can introduce them to your city managers and the planners, and so we're sort of facilitating that. The next one is IRA, which had presented yesterday, and so I'm not going to go into that because most of you have heard this, but you can make your destination suddenly accessible for people who are blind just by partnering with them. And the next one is IBCCES. And IBCCES has, we'll hear from them later, but they're a certification organization in the medical field, and they certify nurses and medical professionals for continuing education credits, and they moved into autism a few years ago, and they've become sort of the most, I would say they've got the most rigid standards in terms of certification because of their medical background. But we're working with them to introduce certification operations. Here are some others. These are there's Hearing Loops Unlimited. We'll hear about Hearing Loops this afternoon from Visit Lane County that has sort of embraced hearing loops. And then there's an app called Otter, which is basically a voice transcription app, and it just sort of transcribes from voice to captioning. And travel is the toy department of life, and everybody should be able to enjoy it. That's kind of our philosophy. And so we started this Destination Ally Program as an incubator and an accelerator to basically, to further advance accessibility. Some other things we're doing, and I just wanted to let you know about this, is we have commissioned a database because a big barrier are hotels, because the hotels, I went into this yesterday, their mindset is really around fear of complaints, fear of getting sued, fear of offending people, and they have high turnover in staff. So some of the hotels have turnover of 50% a year of housekeeping hourly employees, and so it's really hard to train them. And so one of the things that I've done is this last year is I commissioned a database company because I looked around and it's just you have the brands like Hilton and Wyndham and Marriott, and they don't really control what the hotels do. They control them as far as some sort of baseline for ADA compliance. but they don't control the training, they don't control things that are beyond compliance, that are really simple and easy to do. So I wanted to introduce Suzanne Mellon. Suzanne, would you stand up? So Suzanne is a friend. She's a friend of my wife's, and she is a partner at a company called HVS. And HVS is one of the preeminent companies that value hotels for developers and owners. And she is probably one of the top 5 authorities in this in the U.S. And so I commissioned a database of hotel management group staff, and just the CEOs, all broken down by title. And we are exploring basically ways to reach those hotels to talk about, and I'm going to create another newsletter called TravelAbility for Sustainability and Accessibility. And it's going to be, actually it's going to be called TravelAbility for Hospitality. That's what it's going to be called, but it's going to cover this. And so we're looking at ways that we can educate the hotel owners and the developers so that things get done properly and they understand the small things they can do, such as there are like minor things that are major annoyances to people with disabilities. One of which is, as pointed out, is trash receptacles in front of an elevator for people in a wheelchair. They can't reach the elevator button. And so all they need to do, but no one understands or is even aware of that. So these are things hotel owners, we can kind of educate them on the baby steps that they can take to really remove a lot of these barriers and to become more sustainable and all of these other areas. So this is, so that's one of the initiatives that we're embarking on. And the other initiative is really kind of working with companies like Wheel the World and with IRA and with some of these other companies that are, I spoke earlier today at breakfast with one of the people in charge of, the person in charge of the visitor center in Richmond, Virginia, and she was telling me that they have a $30,000 grant that they took, and they basically found a local certification organization that certified accessibility, because she was getting so many questions at the visitor center that now they have, so they went out and kind of contracted with that person to basically certify all the attractions, 15 different, the main attractions in their area, so that they would be accessible. So this is something that every destination can do. I mean, it's a $30,000 investment, but you have that investment, so now you can market those attractions to a whole new group of people. So this is why, we've been focusing on the DMO channel, because you're at the center of all of this. You've got relationships with the business community, you have relationships with the visitor community, and you have relationships with local residents. So anyway, so that's kind of what we're doing, and I'm going to show so this afternoon I wanted to give a shout out to Kevin Wright and the people from Oregon, because they're the ones that came up with the idea for the playbook, and the playbook has got 120,000. It took us 7 months to put it together. It's got $120,000 of other people's money in it, and it's really got everything kind of all in one place. So we're going to go over that this afternoon. So anyway, and I'm sorry that Greg was exposed to COVID, because one of the things I asked him about, and I was going to ask you about this actually, Claudia, is there are so many of these sustainability organizations, now that have popped up, nonprofits, and how do you actually know which one's right for you? So I was going to ask you how you chose Leave No Trace.
Thank you. Yes, there are a number of... Hello?
There we go. There are a number of these organizations. Does anybody in this room represent CREST or Sustainable Travel International? Yeah, so they are, I think all of these organizations have incredibly important initiatives and missions, and you can certainly, those who are representing those can talk about that. And as I say, I love the CREST definition of sustainability, which I use a lot. We partnered with Leave No Trace because of the practicality of it, and the 7 principles that Leave No Trace brought to our partnership with our regional parks just really brought it to a level that we thought everybody could understand. You know, when we look at CREST and we look at Sustainable Travel International, and we're partnering with Sustainable Travel International on a video for sustainability initiatives in Sonoma County that will be shown during World Tourism Day on September 27th. But so we are very definitely partnering with them on an initiative, but the Leave No Trace 7 principles, you know, people like a list, and it's easy for them to understand and to incorporate. It's sort of our, you know, sorry about folks back there, if you're seeing my back. So I think it was that piece of the Leave No Trace partnership that really appealed to me initially, but then when I learned about the educational components, they come into the community, and this isn't a sales pitch for Andrew because he's sitting right here, but they come into the community with a really robust education program. So they'll be talking to a lot of our partners about how they can incorporate sustainability, again, in a really practical, down-to-earth way. That was really important. So, you know, I think these organizations serve a purpose at different levels, but when it came to integrating one in Sonoma County, which is a really down-to-earth kind of a place, they don't like a lot of pomp and circumstance, our partners don't, so it just seemed like it was the best you know, opportunity for us to incorporate a really practical approach. So, you know, I guess that's my answer to that question. We did a lot of research into each of those, the 3 that I know of, that were kind of coming with a variety of partnership opportunities, but that's why we went with Leave No Trace.
Okay, so so you know, in short, we're basically leapfrogging over everybody and going right to hotel owners, is what we're trying to do through you know, through this next initiative that we're doing this year and through this database, because they're the decision makers in terms of spending money there. And you'll see shortly we're going to do a session on the shower situation at hotels, and they continue to build hotels where the shower setups are for some reason completely inconsistent with what people need. And so just and it's because of ignorance. And so so we, you know, we can make a lot of impact, and that's what our goals are this year. So anyway, I'm done. Thank you.